right, with the NHL draft now officially behind us, we can look into the winners and the losers, who did good, who did bad, and let's get into it. Now, spoiler alert, I actually didn't mind a lot of teams' drafts. Even some of the ones that are technically on my bad list are okay. They're not horrible. First one is the New York Rangers. Most notable picks were Ben McBeth and Charlie Morrison in the second and third rounds. Decent value. The reason they're as high as they are is because they took Albert Schmitz at 5 when both Reed, Karls, and Veerhoff were on the board, who in my opinion all would have been better picks. And you kind of got to throw the sign-in trade for Pavel Dorofeyev on there again for a team that is not close. I just don't think it was the right thing for them to do. New Jersey Devils are also on here. Nothing major. It's basically because I'm not a big fan of the Alexander Command pick. I definitely would have taken Ethan Belchetz over him, but just, again, even the teams that are bad, I don't think did too well, with the exception of a few, which we will get into. The Philadelphia Flyers, again, another one where they took Sokolovsky in the first round. You just knew he was going to be a Philadelphia Flyer, didn't you? At 6'8" on defense, you just knew he was going to be there again. I don't know how much offensive upside is there. Definitely a project. So that's kind of why I have Philly as high as I do. Now we're getting in to the two that I think did bad. We got Detroit. Victor Plante was one of their picks, and I'm not a fan of any of the Plante brothers. I think they're too small, and I don't think they have much of a future in the NHL, if I'm being completely honest with you. They might top out at the third line, but I don't see them being superstars. I know I'm in the minority in that one, but I don't have the highest expectations for them. And J.P. Hurlburt at 23. I think it was a bit early for Hurlburt, because, again, there's a lot of issues you need to refine with his game, but going to college should help with that. But, again, sort of similar to what I said with the Rangers, you have to take into the fact that this is what they got in exchange for Sebastian Cossa, who I'm very high on and is likely going to be the starting goalie for Utah next year. And the one that I think just did, in my opinion, had the worst draft was the Ottawa Senators. Lagerberg Hohen as their first pick, someone who only played 9 games last year and was in the 80 to 100 range for a lot of people. To take him in the mid-20s was an insane reach. And the Jackson Coher pick. Now I know people are going to rip me apart because it's such a great story of him coming from the Cayman Islands. And fair's fair, you're right, it is a very good story, but we're talking about a guy who has only been playing ice hockey for about 4 years. So I have serious questions on how well this is going to translate to the NHL. You're rooting for him because, again, it's a great story, but I have my doubts. Now, let's get into some of the teams that did well. First, we have the Chicago Blackhawks. And now I know, they shouldn't have traded the 4th overall pick. But I'm going to be a bit of a hypocrite here. If we're just going to look in a vacuum for who they picked, taking all context out of it, to walk out of that draft with Xavier Villeneuve and Ryan Rubrick is some tidy work, especially to get both of them in the second round. I really like that for Chicago. Speaking of teams that did well in the second round, you got the Florida Panthers, nabbing Cali and Ignatavicius, both guys who people thought could sneak into the back end of the first round. And again, of course, the Florida Panthers find value wherever they pick, so that's just great. Again, more teams that picked up on value. Utah, they picked up Sebastian Cossa, which, again, starting goalie for the future, I really like. To get Ethan Belchetz when you did was an amazing steal. And same thing with Adam Valentini. Adam Valentini in the 90s is absolutely insane. Again, another guy who people could have said could have been in the back half of the first round. Now, I know he wasn't top 15, top 10 like people had him going into the season, but to get him where Utah got him is absolutely criminal that happened. So I think that was really good value for Utah. I like what they did there. Carolina. Now, Carolina didn't get a single guy who I look at and think that's a slam dunk home run, but they got a lot of value. Hawkinson, Lanzard, Jovanovski's a solid goalie prospect to get later in the draft. If you develop him right, I think you could have a star on your hands. And Mikey Bearchild. Now, Mikey Bearchild did not have a good draft year, but again, if we rerun the clock back a year or two, he was another guy who was in contention to be a top 5 pick. So if you're Carolina, you're making the bet. If you can get him in your system and you can bring out the best in him, again, he could be a 70-point guy. Do I think it's likely? Maybe, maybe not. But again, for where Carolina took him, there's no risk there, so it all works out in the wash. Vancouver. Vancouver did very, very well. You got Caleb Malhotra at 3, which again, your solid first-line two-way center that you need. That was always good. Adam Novotny at the back half of the first round, again, was tremendous value. I had him around the 10 to 15 range. So for Vancouver to get him around 24, I think that was tremendous value for that. Brooks Rogowski at 33. Just a giant human being. Again, if you can work with him and get him on the right track, you have an amazing power forward for the next 10, 15 years. Aram Olsen is another one who I really, really liked. Torched at the U18s this year, was absolutely Norway's best player. So again, great value that they found there. Anaheim. Anaheim actually did a complete reverse course for what they usually do under Pat Verbeek, which has been nothing but size. This year they went nothing but skill with Klepov, Nordmark, and Mathis Preston especially. Mathis Preston probably is going to work out to be the steal of the draft. Again, I had Mathis Preston going in the 15 to 20 range. Anaheim got him in the back half of the second round. Just uber talented, uber skilled, was held back by being on a bad Spokane team, and then as soon as he got traded to the Vancouver Giants and things started to look up, he got injured. But Mathis Preston is a tremendous talent. Pretty much the only one from the Holinkas and the U18s for Canada who was worth a damn. Very big Mathis Preston fan. I like that. St. Louis, Tynan Lawrence at 11. Very, very good work. I'd have had Tynan Lawrence in the 5 to 7 range. Because, again, you have to value centers higher than most other positions. Maddox Dagenet is an interesting one. He's a very solid physical piece. From the games that I saw of him, the offense sometimes is there, sometimes isn't. But again, if you want just a solid physical two-way presence, that's your guy. And they also picked up Lars Steiner and Colin Fitzgerald at some of their later picks in the draft. Which again, these are two guys who, not that long ago, were thought of as potentially top 10 picks. But disappointed in their draft season and fell to the later rounds. So again, if you can get them in your system and bring out their potential, I think you got two tremendous steals on their hands. But let's be honest, we all know who won the draft. We all know who the best team was. It's the San Jose Sharks. It's the Sharks. To get Ivar Stenberg at 2, to turn around and have Chase Reed fall into your lap at number 9, and then to trade up and get Ryan Lynn, you have rebuilt your defensive core in a single night. And then, if that wasn't enough, to top it all off, in the 7th round, Alexander Karmanov. Now, for those of you who don't know, he is 7'1", 280 pounds. Very likely, very, very, very likely this doesn't pan out. But on the off chance it does, you have drafted the next Zdeno Chara, only bigger. He is 7'1" before you put skates on him. Is the offense there? No. There is no offensive upside there at all. Does it matter? Also no. Because when you have a guy who's 7'1", just get in the way. Get in the way, be on the penalty kill. Any offense you get from that guy is a bonus. He's playing another year in the OHL, then he's going to Penn State. Yeah, he is an absolute product. But remember, Chara didn't become the Zdeno Chara that we all know until about year 4, year 5 in the league after the Islanders essentially gave up on him. So, yeah, I definitely think Karmanov could be a great pick. And those are my thoughts on the draft. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below.